Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Jerry Sansing with another edition of South Texas News and Reviews. This is October 29th, 2017, an absolutely gorgeous day. I am the producer of this show. The air times are Sunday at 9:30 p.m. and Wednesday at 8 o'clock p.m. My email address is gsansing@gmail.com. It's available on YouTube. Put Gerald Sansing in and you've got this show. And you've usually got the what's going on in Corpus Christi, plus the voices of Ed Bennett. Anyway, going to be right back. Going to try to show you a little show here with a little mannequin. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, got a guy with a resume standing there. He's got a big, long Pinocchio nose, doing a little dance around here, and that seems to be very typical of the resumes around here for people that want to be mayor, Mr. McQueen, and a lot of these other people, elected officials all over the state, all over the county, your House of Representatives, senators, and so forth and so on. I don't know why people want to stretch that. Then if you get over to these, administrators at different colleges and CCISD and so forth, we get into binds with those too. So you need to beware of what's going on. And I've seen people at in academic institutions that put out 70 to 80 page resumes. Every time somebody burps, I guess, in public, they write it down and they take and claim for listening to crickets on a Saturday night, at the college or something. Anyway, I'm going to get off that bandwagon, but that just galls me when people can't be totally honest with their resumes, folks. Right, Mr. McQueen? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is on the resume. I just picked this up the other day. I thought it was funny. This is the kind of dance that a lot of these politicians do around here. I don't know if it's going to show or not, but I just had to have one of those. But that's what we look like over here when we're not telling the truth and we're trying to get all this other stuff done. Anyway, there you go. There's the happy dance, folks. I'm going to cut it off and I'll be right back. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, looks like the camera's rolling and the lights are on, so I'm going to go around here and see what we can discuss today. This is South Texas News and Reviews. This is the 29th of October on a Sunday. I'll give you my times here for this show. South Texas News and Reviews airs Sunday at 9:30 to 10:30 p.m. and Wednesday from 8 p.m. until 9 p.m. And then what's going on in Corpus Christi, I've used the same flowers. These are dedicated to Miss Lynn and April 23. Bless their hearts, both. And, great women, folks, great women. And what's going on in Corpus Christi, which is the Taxpayers Association show, that's Monday at 9 o'clock until 9:30 p.m. and then Wednesday from 10 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. We had the latest lottery. I wasn't the luckiest when we drew the times on that, but I tried. And you can go to YouTube and get all of these. Go to YouTube and put in Gerald, G-E-R-A-L-D, Sansing, S-A-N-S-I-N-G, and they should crop up. South Texas News and Reviews are there. What's going on in Corpus Christi is there, and the voice of Ed Bennett. Ed Bennett is a regent at Del Mar College, and his airs on Sunday at 8:30 to 9 p.m., and then Wednesday at 5 o'clock until 5:30 p.m. Okay, and he is a board certified CPA. He's the real thing at Del Mar College. Other people have claimed to be with these false resumes. I won't get back into that. Okay, and I've already addressed the flowers. Bless your hearts, ladies, and everyone out there, everyone that's female out there. You're the greatest thing in the world. Okay, and it just galls me to have men mess that up. Okay, now we had the Taxpayers Association today, and we discussed many things. One of them was the lack of the line item budget that was supposed to be done and given to the Board of Regents members before they voted on the entire budget, the new budget for 2017-2018. And I guess that was 18 and 19. Okay, the one that's coming up. But anyway, whatever it was, Now, what bothers me is I go to these Board of Regents meetings, and I see people that profess to be professionals as far as bookkeeping and accounting and that kind of stuff. There's only one true accountant at Del Mar College, and he's on the Board of Regents at Del Mar College. His name is Ed Bennett, and he's just been newly elected. He'll be there for 5 more years. I think everything is holy. Okay, and keep an eye on that place. It's been out of control for so many years, it's not even funny. Okay, but I asked for the line item budget so I could figure out whether, I would vote for it if I were a regent. I'm an employee over there a long time, for going on 28 years, headed for 30, folks. I'm sure I'll make 30 and then some, much to the dismay of the Board of Regents members, most of them over there in the administration. But, things happen in this world, okay? Now, during the presentation on leading up to them voting on the budget for the next year, there were 4 PowerPoint slides is all they boiled it down to. This was the administration in charge of that, all the gurus and guruettes over there that do those types of things. Okay, and there were 4 PowerPoints. Now, there was an error in one of them for $1.5 million. Now, when you're presenting a budget, line item budget to the public through the Board of Regents members, folks, I would hope that somebody over there would have enough sense to be able to add 2 and 2 and get 4, then come up with not $105 million missing somewhere. Okay? Now, that was discussed at the Taxpayers Association meeting yesterday, okay, which was on the 28th. There were some very serious discussions, and we had board members there also, okay? Now, my vice president, I'm the president of the Taxpayer Association, my vice president, Mr. Jack Gordy, has been on a tear to find out, and I think we already have figured out, how many dollars have been spent for the some of the board members and I guess administrators to try to disparage the good name of Dr. Guy Watts, who's been on that Board of Regents, and for many, many years he's done an awful lot for Del Mar College. He's all for academic excellence, which most of the faculty members are. I won't say all, but most of them are. And I know the administrators aren't. We want numbers, we don't want quality, and so forth and so on. But the board has, I think, censured him 4 times, and I think it was just under $17,000 in outside of Del Mar College legal fees before we hired a full-time in-house counsel, Mr. Rivera. Okay, and we were very concerned, especially Mr. Gordy, that the complaints, when he asked for the written complaints, there were none. So who's complaining about Dr. Watts? Okay, and so I think we need to, and I back Jack Gordy up 100% with his quest to say let's look over the bylaws and change those. And if somebody's going to complain, whether it be a one Board of Regents member against another one, or a faculty member against the regent, or an administrator against the faculty members, or whatever, it needs to be in writing and signed by that person. Otherwise, I don't think that complaints need to be qualified. And then I do know when students complain against faculty members, you're lucky if you can find out who it is, but then you can't find out any more than that. Okay? I wanted to know certain things when I had a former student of mine who threatened me in class and threatened me in public forum, and they said that I couldn't get a copy of his complaint after he scared the hell out of his secretary up there and raised hell and was generally totally obnoxious and frightening. Then I'm not frightened of him. Folks, I can take care of myself. I've been trained in the past. You wouldn't believe what I've been through. I can't divulge that anyway, okay? But, mess around with me and pay the consequences is all I can say. Now, but that student, I never could get a copy of the complaint because he's protected under the FERPA laws. I won't read what FERPA is. I try not to even remember that. And then when I wouldn't let him in my class the next year, then I was told that I was putting Del Mar College at a great jeopardy. Okay? because I wouldn't let him in there. That was illegal and so forth and so on. They never did tell me what laws it was. And then all I know is a guy over there who's a vice president of student gurus or whatever, students can't do no wrong. Dr. Rito Silva went after me with a witch hunt, and I've said on many shows that I know what a witch hunt is. My mother's parents, way back when, into the 1700s, were from Salem, Massachusetts. Okay, so I know a witch hunt when I see one, folks. And, you know, it doesn't bother me. You know, you know, just fire me, folks. Sue me. I don't really give a rip at this stage of the game. Frankly, Scarlett, or frankly, my dear, I think is the proper quote. And you can fill in the rest of it. Now, another thing that came up, which has got the taxpayers all up in an uproar, is this administrative bloat we have. If you go back and look at it's called the administration. It's the administration as of June 20th, 2017, or June 2017. Board of Regents, and then the president is directly accountable to the Board of Regents. And then under him, we've got about 41. Now I think it's up to 43. We've got provost and vice presidents, counselors. That's Mr. Augustin Rivera. He's in-house counsel now. And then we've got the chief of security. We've got the chief financial officer, comptroller, director of purchasing, executive director of human resources and administration, director of human resources, director of payroll, risk management. Then we've got executive director of development, assistant director of foundation services, assistant director of development and alumni services, assistant director of grants, vice president of workforce development and strategic initiatives. Under them we've got the dean of workforce program and the dean of continuing education, off-campus program, director of institutional research, vice president for student affairs. Under that we've got the dean of student engagement and retention, dean of student outreach enrollment services, director of the Title V, director of financial aid. And then under executive director of strategic communications and government relations, we've got associate director of media relations, associate director of college relations, the DMC TV media producer and production manager, communications specialist, chief information officer, and director of operations and programs, director of network and technical services, director of IT web services, director of physical facilities, and then, oh, I forgot some over here under the provost. We've got dean of arts and sciences, dean of health services and professional education, dean of business, industrial, and public safety education, dean of institutional effectiveness, director of libraries, director of early college programs, director of Stone Writing Center. And I think we've just hired 2 new deans since this thing was published, so I'll give you an update. Now, I ask you folks, is that what you want to start, you know, spend all your money on, is this bloated administration over there? So go and look up the president's degrees, and it reads PhD in community college administration, and that's the reason we're bloated way past what we can afford. Okay? All right, so we're still worried about how many dollars we spent, you know, to go over there and try to make Dr. Watts look bad. He's got freedom of speech, folks. I don't agree with everything that Dr. Watts says. I've known him ever since I've been there. I think he started maybe a year before I did on the Board of Regents, and that's been a long time ago. That's when I used to have not so many gray hairs. And no, Delmar didn't give those to me. That's it's biological. You know, I don't get ulcers, folks. I give them. That's my basic philosophy. My father imparted on me. He said, "Don't take any crap from anybody. You know, don't get out of line unless you want to pay the penalty. You know, be the best wingman you can for your friends, and you know, just give ulcers. Don't get them if people want them." Okay, so I've addressed the bloat over here. Now, the there was a real big problem at the Taxpayers Association with the line item budgets not being published. Even the Board of Regents members not getting their, no written complaints and so forth and so on. Now, the taxpayers at Del Mar College, according to the Board of Regents and the attorney over there, okay, cannot talk to regents, and news can only speak to Chairman McCampbell. Okay, so I'm not supposed to be able to talk to any board member about anything as a faculty member at Del Mar College. And this isn't the first president, Dr. Escamilla, it's been in the past that has said that. Okay, all I can say to that in response, ladies and gentlemen, is hogwash. I've had too many of my ancestors from the early 1700s fight for my right to do this, up to and including my father and my brother. I'm not buying into it. Okay? Now, before I get past this, I am really, really disturbed with the lack of participation of the general public around here when it comes down to voting. Okay? Now, I read something today in the newspaper. Let me grab it over here. Okay? This astounded me. Okay? It says, let's see, that was another one. Okay. Let's see if I can find it. Well, we got CCISD breaks ground. There was something about the dedication to the dead. I don't want to try to quote that from the Caller Times and what that ceremony was, but it says that thousands of people showed up to celebrate that particular thing. Okay. The commitment or whatever it is to the dead around here, that's a Hispanic thing. It's very good. I believe in that. I think we need to honor our dead. But when we've got that many people that'll turn out for a big party and parade for that, we've got people by the thousands that turn out for Buck Day parades. We've got thousands of people that'll sit down and watch NFL football game. And I've got a no NFL sign in my front yard that I should have put on this show. It's on the South Texas, What's Going On in Corpus Christi show. Then why can't you get off your butts and go vote and find out as much about these elected officials that are running for office, potential elected officials, as you do the stats for the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers or the Cowboys and all the rest of this stuff. You spend much more time with that, and then than you do basic politics. And I don't understand it out there, ladies and gentlemen. So would you please just figure out who's going to be messing around with you? I showed you that little thing and that big Pinocchio nose. So why can't we just go ahead and inform yourself as to who's going to be the best to vote for? Instead of just some people that come down here and say, oh, well, I work for this company, so I'm going to vote for that guy who's donating money to this, that, and the other because they said so. And I know damn good and well that happens. I see it all the time. So why would you want to be duped at that level? I need to read this timer. Yeah, okay. This isn't the best. I've ordered a new one that I can see. Okay. But, does it bother you that faculty and staff cannot talk to the regents, that they're elected officials, just because they work for Del Mar College? Is that a gag order on me that my First Amendment rights and all of my constitutional rights are down the drain because I am drawing a salary for Del Mar College? Does that make sense to you fine folks? Okay? Don't you care enough about your constitutional rights and mine too? Then call your regent and just raise hell with them. Say, who instituted this? Okay? Now, and then the news media around here has been told that if they want to know about something, they can't go over there. They've had the public relations people over here get all upset. So did the president refused to talk to a reporter on some very important things like 50,133 enrollments, which was total error. I mean, do you like having the wool pulled over your eyes, and this is millions of dollars worth of tax money? Do you realize the peril we're in right now and the pickle that Del Mar College regents have put this community in, okay, to the tune of $300 million, plus that's the South Campus and the improvements over here on East and West recently. That's 2014 and the 2017, I guess it was, bond elections, okay, the South Side. Okay. Plus, I think we had $100 million in debt before that. So what does that mean? We're about $400 million plus in debt right now. That's a lot of money, folks. Who's going to pay that off? This is a taxpayer-paid institution. And then if the $139 million that you voted in for the Southside campus, Del Mar Works, I've got the sign right over here. I may haul it out with all the big boys around here. Contributing to Del Mar College bonds and to building, and now, like Richter Architects, they put $5,000 into that, and they're sitting here with checks I've seen for over $1 million here, and it's just now begun. We don't have any of those structures up. And then I could go down the line of contractors and engineers and so forth and so on. And if you're not paying attention, that's your money, folks. Okay. Then the city screwing you, and the county appraisal district, your streets are going to hell in a handbasket, and they're upping your property value. Nobody's going to buy a house on a torn up street, for crying out loud. I think that was Prescott. I addressed that not too long ago. Go to the dictionary and look up bamboozled. Okay, that's what you people out there are being done by all these elected officials, city, Del Mar College, county, state. It's incredible. Okay. All right. So if the news media can only talk to Mr. McCampbell, then that's very debilitating to them. Now, here's another thing. In the Buddy Venters building, Venters was a president when I came here. He was a certified public accountant. He was a vice president of business and finance, and then he was, due to the presidency vacants all of a sudden, he was voted in by the Board of Regents at that time to be the president of Del Mar College. And I think Mr. Venters did a pretty good job myself. Now, he didn't like me worth a toot, but, that seems to be my general reputation over there. Oh my gosh, I've changed my initials from GA to GD Sansing. Okay, I'll let you figure that one out. And but here we go. It's almost a year, I understand. There's been no fire alarm system in the Buddy Venters business building. Okay, it's a 3-story building. It houses an awful lot of dual credit students over there, and the collegiate high school students. But we've got a security man over there that's been reported asleep a lot of the time, sitting around, and he's supposed to be the fire alarm in case we have a fire. Now, why can't we fix the fire alarm over there? Can you imagine how much fun these personal injury attorneys are going to have if somebody gets in trouble over there and gets burned up in that building because we can't fix a fire alarm? Okay, I mean, what in the hell is that all about? We can't water grass. We've got the most pitiful looking campus around. We've got handrails that are ADA, I hope, compliant, that are stuck in bushes over there. Just go take a look at the front of the Garcia Science Building that goes out into the parking lot that faces the Venters building. I mean, and who cares? Nobody. So, I'd like to invite Dr. Mark Escamilla to take a little walk around that campus more than once every 7 years and see what a mess he's got. I mean, you can go out in politics, you can go rappel down buildings and so forth and so on and so on, and generally play that PR game over there, but your campus looks like hell on East Campus, Dr. Escamilla, and I don't mind telling you, I welcomed you with open arms around here, and that didn't seem to make much difference. You asked me what needed to be done around here to shape Del Mar College into a good academic campus and institution. I told you, and you thumbed your nose at me. Okay, and a lot of other fine folks that have been trying to get through to you. You won't listen. Okay, so we don't have a fire alarm in Venters over there. Okay. Then the handrail over there is stuck in the middle of bushes and coming out of the Garcia Science Building. Okay. And then now we're going to try to offer bachelor's degrees over there. I think there are 3 areas we can do this. Now, this came out in the Caller Times, which I'm surprised at. It says DMC Mull's offering bachelor's degrees. Now we can only do 3 of them, and they're in some different disciplines that don't mean much anyway. But it says earning a bachelor's degree at a community college would have to cost the same in tuition and fees as an associate's degree. Okay, now I'm not sure I understand exactly what that means. Does that mean that you can get a bachelor's degree for the price of an associate's degree? That'd be another rip-off, folks. Okay, taxpayers, listen up. Okay, then we have trade people over there that say that they have a trademark product as a result of undergraduate research. There's no such trademark. When I asked for the extensive research notes that would take to get something approved and so forth and so on and trademarked, I was told it was just a theoretical product and that it didn't exist and there are no research notes. Now you guys and gals out there are spending a lot of federal money for these little grants that we have over here and these 70-page resumes, and you know, I guess I'm really not I've never won the Creighton Award for teaching at Del Mar College, so I'm not apparently I'm not a award-winning microbiologist. And I don't have these trademark false advertisings with balloons and all this stuff all over the place. Looks like the homecoming king on the front door of that some of these people, or queen. All right. Now, contributors to the Southside bond that got you, that Southside boondoggle, folks, is going to cost you taxpayers right around $500 million if it goes to fruition. Now, I don't know where in the world we're going to get 20,000 students to participate out there. Okay, I don't know why you were told that your taxes were not going to go up if you voted for that. I guess you bought into it, 54% of you people. And I'll go back. Why don't you pay attention to what's going on and listen to the people that are giving you the other side of this, not just the hurrah, 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 and the Del Mar Works, where architects contribute $5,000 and now they're over $1 million in fees, you know, checks to them, and the same thing happens with other architects, engineers, vendors, and so forth and so on. You're being duped, folks. Duped. You're being bamboozled. Okay. And I'm gonna, you know, these buffoons are gonna surface. I'm gonna call them out. Okay. So, and then the people that contributed to Mr. Trey McCampbell's campaign, he claimed to be a CPA and he was not. That goes back to that Pinocchio that I was talking about, along with Mr. McQueen and so forth and so on. But, you know, the contributions to him came right straight from the same people that are getting these contracts for that $300 million worth of bond money that you're going to have to pay for, plus that other million, and then we're going to stack about $300 million on top of that. And we are probably the highest debt to student ratio in the state of Texas. I'd have to go back and do that. Okay. All right. Then I've got down here a note that our campuses look like absolute hell. There's dead bushes, dead plants everywhere. We've got all this money, $400, $500, $600 million, and we can't spread a little water over there and keep a ginger root plant going, or, you know, some of these other bushes. And then we're spending $15,000, $20,000 a month for groundskeepings that can't keep grounds up. Okay, it looks like hell over there. And then the custodial service, you know, my building's fine, folks. I've got 2 guys in my building as custodians that are marvelous. But overall, that company over there, they don't know what the hell they're doing. $85,000 per month. And they've got part-timers working and they won't give them a raise. No benefits. And then Dr. Escamilla fired a bunch of full-time permanent custodians and groundskeepers, so that he could, I guess, conspire with his buddy, that vice president of business and finance is gone now, thank goodness. I think he got caught with something over there. It was, I'm going to get to the bottom of that one. Okay. So anyway, we're just having more fun than a barrel full of monkeys. Okay. All right, now we've got no water. Southside campus versus taxes versus enrollment. Now I went back into the archives. I went back to the board meetings to August 2009 when Mr. Trey McCampbell was just getting on the board. Okay, and he was concerned about enrollment, and therefore without the enrollment increases, they froze all of the raises from 2009 through, I think, about, it must have been 2015. That's a lot of years, folks. Now the administration gets raises. The way they do that is they don't give them a raise in their particular designated rank on this thing. Let's say. So what we have is let's say, if we have the director of human resources and we need to increase the pay, then what we do is we take that person and we call them executive director of human resources and administration, and then we hire another person in as director of human resources. Okay? And then we've got people that are directors of this, that, and the other, are deans, and they're all of a sudden vice presidents and, you know, all this other garbage. And that's the way that the selected few, the privileged few, can get an increase in salary without calling it a raise, because we're not giving raises. Now this raise that I got this last year was a pittance, and I've been duped out of other things over there. And then I've got people that will complain about things like that, and then they get locked out of their offices over there. Okay, very highly trained and so forth, and then they lose their personal items over there. Okay. I'll get into that later. That one's about ready to hit the fan. Okay. Okay. So there's what you got at Del Mar College. You got to miss, folks. So I wish you'd go ahead and call your regent. All you got to do is you can either go online and pull them up, or you can call me or email me, and I'll be glad to send you the complete list of Del Mar College regents. And all I can do is say Godspeed to one of them who is a certified public accountant and not just claims to be erroneously. Now at our meeting today with the Board of Regents, or yesterday, excuse me, we did talk about those items with Del Mar College. The taxpayers are pretty upset about what's going on over there, folks. Okay. Now the next thing I have a problem with, it says here in the Caller Times on the 26th of this month, just a couple of days ago, on the front page of the Caller Times, it says high grades for CCISD. Now, one thing that bothers me and a bunch of other faculty members at Del Mar College, folks, is we have students that come out with high school diplomas from CCISD, and there's some surrounding areas that do that, okay? And they cannot qualify taking tests to be at a college level, okay? So what they do is they have to put them into what is called a developmental course. So if they can't read by the time they get out of high school, that's quite apparent to Del Mar College faculty members. Don't confuse faculty members with administrators, folks. Lord, that would be a big problem, okay? But they can't read, they can't write, and they know no mathematics. So you taxpayers out there have to go ahead and pay for developmental courses to bring these students up to college level. So you paid for it once in exorbitant fees with CCISD. You know how much money they're knocking down. They're tearing buildings down, building new schools and so forth and so on at a lightning pace. But here's and I've never met the man, okay, Roland Hernandez, CCISD superintendent. Now I didn't think much of the former one, okay. He was in cahoots with one of our Board of Regents, actually the chair of the Board of Regents, and those two conspired to get a lot of stuff done that was I think, underhanded. If you want to pursue that, I haven't named names, I can do that. Okay. Higher grades for CCISD. School's chief state of the district touts success. Okay. Now what we've done is we've watered down the curriculum at CCISD to make it look good and graduate a bunch of people. Okay. And then that's what the state legislators want. They don't want quality in education. All they want is numbers. So they can come back and tell you how great they're doing, and then as they raise your taxes up some more, we can pay for more CCISD taxes and students that don't know what they're doing. Okay? They're not held accountable. And it's the same thing that we went through with one of the finest nursing faculty members in the world. They encourage these students at the high school level to get their mom and dad and go over there and complain about the teachers and then threaten them with a lawsuit, and everybody's supposed to quake, and the kids get what they want. They don't have to study. They don't have to even lift a finger to get a diploma. And then they go out into the workforce, and you know, these people that have serious businesses are scratching their heads saying, where in the hell did these people come from? How did they get through the basics on a high school, much less you know, a bachelor, I mean not a bachelor, associate's degree from Del Mar College in certain areas. But here's what it is. With great achievement comes a great responsibility to lead in our schools and in our community, Hernandez said. The 2017-2018 school year is still relatively new. While we had a remarkable run last year, we are not resting on prior achievements. So he's saying that he has done such a good job there to raise up what it doesn't tell you what scores or whatever. Okay? I mean, you know, it's called bovine excrement, folks. Okay? And unfortunately, what we have is the Caller Times and the local news media buying into it. Now, here's another thing that shook me up. Pusley to run for Nueces County Judge. This came out 3 days ago. Okay? So, I don't know what is Lloyd Neal. He's not going to run. So now we got Mike Pusley with the county commissioners running for this. And, you know, all I can say, seriously, Mr. Pusley, is I haven't been impressed with you, and Lord help us. Okay? So, here's the Caller Times already putting this out 3 days ago. And then with him running for the judge, the county judge, and I'm sure he's going to make it. You know, he's got all of his buddies over there that are going to be pressing you people that won't go out and learn about him and, you know, make a educated guess and vote for somebody on an educational principle. Okay. So with that in mind, here we have Carolyn Vaughn, one of our city Corpus Christi councilwoman. Okay, she's going to run for his seat, or for precinct 1. I guess that would be for the one vacated by Mr. Pusley. Now, she's outspoken. I've got mixed emotions about her. Sometimes I think she's done a good job. Sometimes I think she's totally off the wall. But you know, I mean, here we go again. We've got all these high rollers, you know, people that want to go up the political ladder and all that good stuff, jumping in there in the middle of this stuff. And then I indicated that we have roofing companies around here. There was a man that spoke to us. He's from a roofing company in town about the solid waste department wanting to charge extra fees for dumping the materials they take off, the used materials off the roofs. They want to build the roofing companies and so forth a fee even for dumping that material. And even if they don't use the Corpus Christi landfill and so forth and so on, if they use a private landfill out of this, when they go to get a permit to fix a roof for somebody, the taxpayer's got to pay that fee regardless of where that waste goes to. And then when they get out there, if they do dump it out here in our city landfill, then it costs more money than that. So you taxpayers out there that are reeling from the hurricane, and you got your damaged roofs, you're trying to get your life back together, then the city of Corpus Christi is going to go ahead and sock you one more time with that. Okay. Now they claim that this was in the city ordinance for a long time. And here's a 14-question thing that the city sent, and they have FAQ, okay, list for MSW charge. Now they don't define anywhere in here what the MSW means, okay. I can only imagine. I think it's bovine excrement, to tell you the truth, or it may be equine, whichever, or avian, if you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, out of these questions that the city puts out, it says, can the MSW charge be waived? No! City ordinance does not allow for the charge to be waived. Now, they said that 16 years ago the city came up and voted for that ordinance. We're going to find out. So we did have a gentleman from one of the local roofing companies around here. I'm not going to say who it is. I'm not advertising for them. I feel sorry for them because their businesses, you know, we keep saying what we want to do is up the business and up the business here in Corpus Christi, Texas, and we're so business oriented. And then you turn around and slam dunk the big, you know, and penalize the businesses for that. And then you give tax abatements away, which I'm coming to with M&G Plastics, which apparently is going bankrupt, and voestalpine over there across the bay. That's not in Corpus Christi, Texas. It's in the county, I believe. And they're driving everybody mad with polluting dust and noise and light and everything else under the world. Okay. Now we had another person that came in. His name is Kevin Baker. He's an attorney. He's an insurance attorney. He's the one that will defend you if you think you've been messed around by the Texas Windstorm Insurance Association, which you probably have been lowballed by them. Then he can help you out. Now I'm not soliciting for him, but there's a guy in here, a young attorney here, Lewis Williams, president of the Corpus Christi Young Lawyers Association, who says free legal clinic offered for Harvey victims to let you know what your rights are and so forth. And then it's going to air after this show, unfortunately, but you may want to go and find Mr. Williams, president of the Corpus Christi Young Lawyers Association, and see if they can get you another meeting. And I think that comes under the San Antonio Young Lawyer Association and the Community Justice Program to provide legal advice to things like the FEMA and windstorm insurance and that type of stuff. Okay, so I'll keep you abreast of that. But I'm going to get a hold of Mr. Williams tomorrow and see what I can do to get information from him. But that's Kevin Baker. He's a very fine man. He's an attorney here. If you need to get a hold of him, let me know. I'm not advertising for him, but he impressed the stuffings out of us at the Taxpayers Association meeting yesterday. Then we have Ingleside dealing with mold at city facilities. I said on the other show, I'm not bragging, folks, but when I started graduate school, I did have a bachelor's degree in biology, and I had a bachelor's degree in chemistry. Okay, I did the chemistry first, and then got enough hours there my senior year for a bachelor's degree to claim a major in biology. Now I was doing mold studies around here, which I'm qualified to do. More than that, people track me down from my undergraduate, graduate, and postdoctoral days as being an expert in the toxicology, production, and so forth and so on of microbial toxins in general, whether they be bacterial or fungal. Okay, and I can identify bacterial species. I know how to do that, and the fungal species, which is the quote mold and so forth. And I did an awful lot of studies around here during the mold heyday. Then it got to be too expensive for the insurance companies. It was a scam in a lot of cases against them, which I fought. But you know, the state told me I needed to get 5 licenses if I wanted to continue doing mold studies around here. Okay. Now, when I talked to the state, I said, here's my credentials. I've got master's, PhD in both microbiology and biochemistry, biochem first, and toxicology. But the state told me that they would have to see my resume, and they'd have to see my transcripts, and they would have to have a big meeting to decide whether my PhD in microbiology and biochemistry, dual majors, was equivalent to a bachelor's degree in biology. So I told them, where the sun don't shine, I hate to be that blunt, and I don't want to get involved with a state agency that doesn't know any more about things than that. And so anyway, you know, here comes the mold again. So I wish I could help some of you fine folks out, but hey, my hands are tied. I don't know diddly about it. The state's going to make that. Now I'm going to spend the last quarter of this show talking about something that is very, very near and dear to my heart, ladies and gentlemen. And that is, we have disabled people, both veterans and non-veterans, roaming around this town trying to stay safe. And we are under the law from the Americans with Disabilities Act, which is the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice in Washington, D.C. Okay, now I've done this on a show, I think, before, but it's serious enough I'm going to do this again. Now, growing up as a military brat with a father who had been shot down in Europe, in France, strafing trains with a fighter, the 4th mission that day, which he should not have flown, and being shot down and not captured, but he was taken in by the French underground, the French resistance, and he went out at night in a French costume, the local dress, and shot Germans at night as they retreated back through France when the Allies were pushing them through back into Germany. Okay. I think it took him from the time he got shot down until he got back into England, it was about 90 days. Now that's a hell of an experience, folks, and he was injured when he jumped out of that airplane. Okay, it was on fire, and he was very, very lucky to get out. Okay, and then he flew fighter jets in Korea, and then he flew forward air control, which is one of the most dangerous things to do in Vietnam. And he retired at age 50. Okay, now I grew up with fighter pilots and mechanics and so forth and so on, and just, you know, with the very best of the veterans, folks, okay? And I used to remember, you know, the grief and all when grieving mothers would come over. My mother had to go and console a woman whose husband had just been killed in action and so forth and so on. I remember those days vividly. So my hat's off to all veterans, okay? No matter what war they were in, whether I consider the war justified or not. Now, there are a lot of disabled veterans around here, and then also we have a lot of disabled people, period. Okay, one of them being Abel Alonzo. I'll talk about him in a minute. Okay, I had a lot of respect for that man. So I get sick and tired of this where Mr. Miles Risley, our esteemed city attorney, says that we don't have to comply to ADA over there at Gulfway Shopping Center. AEP finally had to take care of that one. We've got a spot over here, and I'd like for you just to go visit that. It's on the corner of Tarleton Street and Ayers. It's right there at a convenience store. Would you go over there and just watch people trying to get around a pole that's sitting right in the middle of the sidewalk, and that is an impedance, and it is totally in violation of the federal ADA, state laws when it comes to that, and also our local ordinances and code enforcement won't take care of it. But Mr. Risley says that, you know, people can go out in the street or they can go into parking lots over here, that we don't have the money and we don't have the legal pressure, and we can just turn our heads around and not paying attention to the Americans with Disabilities Act through the Department of Justice. Okay? All right. So I wrote a letter, and I won't read it. You know, I've got time. I will make the following statements as short and succinct as possible. I am the president of the Corpus Christi Taxpayers Association, Corpus Christi, Texas, At the last meeting of our board of directors, I was charged with informing you of the fact that the city of Corpus Christi, Texas is in total non-compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act. And it is. Okay. I was also charged with informing you that your replies to previous complaints from Mr. Jack Gordy, in which you do not have the time to investigate the valid complaints submitted, are despicable. He wrote, and they said they don't have time for that. There are many violations of the ADA codes and directives which put our citizens at risk of potential harm. Therefore, I'm sending this information to the following entities. And I said, have a great day. Me, taxpayer. I sent it to the U.S. Department of Justice, Civil Rights, and the Disabilities Rights section, who should be handling this. Sent it to the VA Inspector General, because many of our disabled people around here are veterans. Okay? And that crushes me to see them. Then Donald Trump, John Cornyn, Blake Farenthold, Juan Chuy Hinojosa, Todd Hunter, and then Corpus Christi Caller-Times. I haven't heard anything from anybody except the city, and they said I can fill out a form of complaint. And the Inspector General of the VA, who said that we're interested in the safety of veterans, but being run over out there in the street or in a parking lot in a wheelchair or on a walker or on crutches, it doesn't matter to them. I've got the letters from those, response from those people. Okay. Now, Mr. Risley downtown, Risley, whatever his name is, okay, our esteemed city attorney, still contends that we don't have to comply to that. And I think the reason that we don't, and the reason that he won't, is he's trying to look good down there with all these other scoundrels in the city council. See, we've tried to have this brought up several times. Nobody will put it on the agenda. So any of you disabled people out there, your city and your elected officials, city council, and I think the county's a little bit better than we are here in Corpus, but they don't give a damn about you. Not a tinker's damn. And the reason for that is Mr. Risley and his infinite wisdom and his total lack of concern for anybody in this city except himself. Okay, he doesn't care if somebody gets run over out there in the street, because what is the Department of Justice isn't going to do a damn thing about it. So you need to write the U.S. Department of Justice and email me. I'll give you their address. Start raising hell. I'm going to all the veterans associations around town and see if I can kick up enough dust to have this city put on the map for that. I want them to be the banner leaders for ADA, whether it's veterans or whether it's just the general public. I'm sick and tired of it, folks. So, Mr. Risley, I'm on a roll. Now, what bothers me is Mr. Abel Alonzo, from 17, he was, I think, shot in the neck and been in a wheelchair since then. He just passed away recently. So all the leaders mourn a driven activist. Abel Alonzo had a passion I will never forget. This is from Julie C. Vosler Henderson of the Caller-Times. Abel Alonzo's sister, so-and-so and so-and-so. Okay? Now, if she really did give a damn being part of the Caller-Times, then she would have been out there taking care of the rest of the veterans. Now, Abel, I think, filed a lawsuit against the city under ADA compliance, and they took care of a couple of little things. But why would you go ahead and say that he's such a great guy when you didn't give a damn about ADA compliance? And then here's the one that really hurts me the worst, is Mr. Tom Whitehurst. Okay, he's the opinions editor, and we can contact him at tom.whitehurst@callertimes.com, or you call him. He's there all the time writing the editorials and so forth and so on, or opinions. Blessed be the meek who protected the strong. We remember Abel Alonzo as a voice for people who didn't have one. It's a great way to be remembered. But this is about a time he spoke up for one of the big shots, a member of the Corpus Christi elite. Well, Abel did that, okay? So anyway, it talks about a good friend of mine who's passed, Bill Dodge, okay? and Abel stuck up for him. So, you know, and I respect Mrs. Dodge an awful lot. And I, you know, I share her pain for the loss of Bill. Okay? But why would Mr. Whitehurst do this? And I've never heard him say one damn word anywhere about, you know, let's whip this town into ADA compliance. And then here's Greg Abbott in the forum. I didn't put the date down on this. A call to hire Texas veterans. Yeah, hire them, folks. Okay? They've earned it. And veterans get the short end of the stick, and especially disabled veterans. Because Corpus Christi, Texas, and Nueces County to a certain degree, they don't give a damn about veterans that are disabled. That's why I'm going to all the groups here over the next month and stir it up, folks. Okay. And then we have Angela King, who is the CEO of Volunteers of America, Texas. Now is the time to employ people with disabilities. Now I ask you, Ms. King, would you, if I'm going to contact you, would you jump in here and make damn sure that Mr. Risley and this city complies with ADA? So how are these, if you hire people with disabilities, how in the hell are they supposed to get to work if they can't go down the sidewalks? They have to go out in the streets and risk their lives. And then Mr. Gordy brought up a wonderful point. How about not only the disabled, but how about people that got kids in strollers that don't have vehicles and they have to walk down the streets to go take care of their kids and, you know, go pick them up at school and bring them home and you know, go feed them and go to the grocery store and so forth and so on. Can you imagine how much these local personal injury attorneys would love to have a case where you had a double stroller with twins in it, and the mom had to go out in the street because she can't get up along the sidewalk and get run over? Can you imagine the lawsuit on that one, folks? I mean, that would be intergalactically on top of the world, news-wise. But you know, Mr. Risley and the rest of you people down there at the city, I don't really think you give a damn. That's my personal opinion. You are so wrapped up with your own egos and your own self-interest and how many dollars you can make by hiring this contractor and that contractor and the other one and passing all this money through that you just don't care. That's your whole purpose for them. So I'm just being honest with you. And then, you know, Delmar, Dr. Escamilla, go out and water a plant, okay? We don't need to have that campus looking like a fourth world community or country. Then I'm going to get on next time. I'm going to get all over voestalpine for sound reductions, dust reductions. They've been very bad neighbors. I was the chair of the Clean Economy Coalition, and our group, not me, but our group, made sure that Las Brisas Energy Center isn't here killing 80 babies a year and you know, cardiac patients and you know, ruining everybody's health and welfare. But I had voestalpine come and talk to us because they were afraid of things, and then so the same thing with M&G Plastics. And they've turned out, with these tax abatements and all from the city and the county and Delmar College, they've turned out to be some very, very poor neighbors around here, folks. And they don't give a rip about anything but money. And as long as you sit there and you don't press on your elected officials, they're going to get away with all that crap. It's been a long hour, I guess. It has been for me. Although I enjoy this, I'm not going to shut up. But what I'm going to do is put those roses up there for Miss Lynn in April 23 and tell you people to please contact me if you've got any problems. And start going to the Taxpayers of Show. We've got a website that I'll give you here soon. Okay. Good night. Okay, I've got about 25 seconds left here. Those are beautiful roses. The beautiful roses are like beautiful women. They need to be taken care of. They need to be respected. And, you know, I'm going to go ahead and oil up the axe handle. I'm sick and tired of this domestic violence around here where women and children are abused. There's no call for that, folks. I'm going to let this run out, and God bless all of you people that have been abused.